everyone, I'm Loren, and today on Simply Loren, I want to talk to you about goal setting. I'm sure many of you have already set your 2019 resolutions by now and are either struggling to keep up with them or have just quit them altogether. I already hear a lot of people talking about SMART goals and how to set them, and while I think that's a great idea, I feel like the topic can be a little bit overdone, and so today I wanted to take a new approach on the idea of goal setting and talk a little bit more about what happens before you set the goal and your reasonings for setting the goal in the first place. I think having an achievable goal happens before you even write anything down. It starts with motivation. In a class I took my freshman year of college, educational psychology, I learned that there are two types of motivation. There's intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation is something that motivates you from the inside. You enjoy it, you're passionate about it, you love to do it. And extrinsic motivation is something that motivates you from the outside, from the exterior, like money or getting good grades. Many studies show that while both might be beneficial, intrinsic motivation actually leads to higher levels of achievement and progress than extrinsic motivation. This is because people who have intrinsic motivation are more likely to feel passionate about what they're doing and give their project meaning. When you give something meaning, the odds of it becoming more successful increase. This kind of goes along with the idea of the personal vision statement I spoke about in my first video. Therefore, when you're setting a goal, it's important for you to know what factors are encouraging you to set this goal. Is it because everybody else around you is doing it, or is it because you genuinely want to improve in a certain area of your life? If you're just setting it because everyone else is doing it, that might be one reason why you haven't been successful this far. Another reason why you might be unsuccessful this far is because of your mindset. How are you looking at the goal? Is it something that you can achieve, or is it something that you're avoiding? These are the two types of goals that are discussed in a book I'm reading called Positive Psychology. Well, actually, in the book Positive Psychology, these goals are divided into two categories: approach goals and avoidance goals. I'm sorry if the camera angle changed. It's because my whole setup fell down in the middle of filming. But anyway, as I was saying, there are two types of goals: approach goals and avoidance goals. Approach goals are the ones that lead to higher levels of achievement. That's because these are goals with positive outcomes that we work towards. We're getting closer to achieving the goal as we go, which helps us track it and break down the goal into smaller bits. This goes along with why it's important to track your goals, which I'll get into later. A good example of an approach goal is achieving an A in your class. This goal is very vague, and so you would want to still use the SMART method to make it more specific, but it gives you something that you can achieve toward. For example, you can break this goal down into multiple levels that contribute to your overall A in the class. For example, you might have 10% of homework, 15% quizzes, 50% exams, etc., etc. For every time that you do good, it adds up to your overall grade. This is why an approach goal is more successful. An avoidance goal, however, would be something like avoiding to fail the class. Yes, this is a good idea, but because you're avoiding failure, you're never going to earn anything. You have nothing to pat yourself on the back for. And while it may seem silly to reward yourself after doing good in situations, it really helps motivate you over time. And so if you're avoiding failing a class, well, you could get a D or a C or a B or an A, and it really wouldn't make a difference. An A would be the same as a D because you still avoided to fail the class regardless. That's why it's better to set a goal like getting an A in a class, even though it's not as specific yet, than it is to make a goal avoiding failure of a class. It's important for you to take breaks in the present and look at how far you've come. Not only is this an encouragement, but it helps you stay realistic when you're setting your goals. So now that we've talked about two reasons you might not be making as good of progress as you would like to on your goals, let's talk about ways we can address these problems. So as I stated, before you even sit down to make your goal, ask yourself, why am I making this goal? Does this have anything to do with my personal vision statement? Am I really wanting to do this for a good reason, or am I just doing it because everyone else is doing it? It's really important for you to ask yourself these questions because when we're setting goals, we're breaking habits. We set goals because we know we don't already do these things. This is why gym memberships are so popular. For example, more gym memberships are sold at the beginning of the year than they are at the end of the year. This is because people don't typically work out, get excited about New Year's resolutions, and then begin to work out. This is something they don't normally do, so getting themselves to do it and stay motivated to do it is more difficult than had they have already had a healthier lifestyle. Breaking in a new habit can take time, and so if you don't have a real intrinsic motivation, or at least others to encourage you to keep going, it can be very difficult to stay on track with your goals. Another thing to note is being self-aware. Not only of why you're setting the goal, but also how realistic you're being. If you have never been to the gym before, in the entirety of your life, and all of a sudden on January 1st you decide that you're going to get a gym membership, it's not likely that you're going to go to the gym every single day at 5 in the morning. Cut yourself a little bit of slack. It's unrealistic for you to go from 0 to 100. No, it would be more realistic for you to set a goal like going to the gym once a week at first, and then moving forward from there. If you do this, you will not only be more motivated, but you are also more likely to achieve your goal. It's the same idea for setting the goal in school. I know that there have been subjects personally that I am not good at, and it would be unrealistic for me to expect an A+ in a physics course when I know that my past grades have added up to nothing more than a B-. It's okay to not be good at every area of your life, so long as you have a well-rounded understanding, but it's not okay to compare yourself to others and push yourself too far. I'm not saying you shouldn't strive for perfection, but the reality is nobody is perfect. And when you compare yourself to people that you see either online or in class, you have to realize that they have their imperfections too. They probably just don't have them on display for you to see. And while I say it's not a good idea to compare yourself with others, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be in connection with a community. When you're surrounded by a community of like-minded individuals, they're going to help you and encourage you and motivate you to continue moving. So even if you have to get into a little support group, I really recommend that you find at least one friend that has similar interests or goals to help motivate you to keep going. Lastly, as a Christian, I want to encourage you to put your strength in God. God never gives us anything that we can't handle, and I truly believe that the more that we rely on Him for His strength, the more we will be able to be productive. And if you don't want to do that, at least compare your goals to the idea of love. Take a single mother. She has to work, let's say, 3 jobs to feed her kids. And then when she gets home, she doesn't get to rest. She has to cook, clean, and play with her children. Do you think that she always wants to do this? Probably not. Probably she would like to sit down and watch TV or relax, eat a chocolate bar without having to share it. But is this always the case? No. And if she were to stop and do these things, then she would never get to fully provide for her kids in the way that she knows she can. My point is, don't let soul emotions guide your productivity. There are times when you do not want to get up and you do not want to do work, but trust me, if you just give it at least 5 minutes, you will not believe how productive you can be. Starting something for just 5 minutes has proven to increase your productivity levels. So with all of that said, I hope this video helps you pinpoint why you might not be doing well in your goals and gives you a few ways to fix the situation. You're not alone. So thank you for watching, and love, Loren.